And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to CAV HQ, our Wednesday night talking about useless things. Not always. CAV's not useless.
No, not useless at
No,
all.
not at all. So hopefully everybody is having a good night that's here so far.
I'm having a great time.
Good, good. Me
The
too.
weather has changed.
Yeah, I've had a pretty good day. Actually, I got quite a bit accomplished. Not as much as usual that I wanted to get. Getting everything ready because Mad Dog's coming up for the weekend. Yeah,
Go up
we have
and see if I can't
bro weekend.
conduct a little reconnaissance, see if there's any secret information you haven't been
And
sharing completely.
get me motivated to do a couple.
Yeah, poke the bear.
Anyway, we'll give everybody a few minutes to do their come trickling in.
So I'm watching the live feed. It's still showing the preamble for another 41 seconds, but I'm assuming yours shows something differently.
Well, it may be the delay.
Yeah, pretty good size delay, but that's okay.
So is you mean is
Yeah,
it like the movie with the sound?
yeah, it's still the green, like the green and white little movie with the Tesekis flying across the screen. 7 more seconds. 6, 5. There you are. Now I can see
There we
you.
are. I don't know. I guess there is a little bit of a delay.
Tiger Wraith is here. Hello, Tiger Wraith.
Hello, Tiger Wraith. How are you?
I don't know if it's just me, but you're very red on my screen.
Well,
It's probably just me.
I don't know what happens. I don't know if it's something to do when I bring you in the channel, changes
Mm-hmm.
the color. Maybe I got sunburned. I've been trying to fix it before. It is. It's wet and raining here too, and
Yep,
cold.
same thing down here in Oklahoma.
So, but tomorrow is a better day. So, I think it's supposed to be like in the mid 60s, high 60s.
Mm-hmm. That's what we have scheduled.
Yeah. So, I don't. Yeah, they probably got snow out as you go into the Panhandle. Oklahoma City got ice.
Yeah, I think it was a little further west.
I know when I went to high school out at Woodward, just as you go into. When it got ice in Oklahoma City, we got snow.
Mm-hmm. And you probably should stay home because we don't get it often enough to learn how to drive on it. So it's a roller derby.
That was in Dallas. Anytime Dallas got some snow, I went nowhere because I knew how those idiots drove. Some idiots, not everybody.
There's Cthulhu and Thunderhead.
Hello, Thunderhead. Yes, winter is coming. Winter is here. Well, I think it's kind of. I think we're going to get Indian summer, hopefully. Do they still call that? Is that still politically correct to call it an Indian summer?
Probably the wrong term.
Oh.
Just my intuition.
Yeah,
I don't actually know, but
yeah, being in Colorado, I'm sure you got quite a bit more.
Yeah, never been to Colorado. I've always wanted to go, but just never had a chance.
It's a very pretty state. Spent quite a bit of time out. All right, so let's. So what have you been working on?
Me?
Yep.
I have been working on that rock AI model again. I'm pretty close to being done with it. I finally decided what to do with those big guns on top of its back. I got some yellow giant rock I'm gonna kill you now
I
stripes. They're
did.
not
I
hazard
saw
stripes.
those. I saw the yellow stripes. Yep.
If you can see them, you're about to die. So
Okay. You're in big, big
that's
trouble.
really what they mean. That's right. I'm gonna go in and do a little bit of some silver. I put a little bit of silver in it to bring up the barrels. I might paint the center of the barrel like a lens. I might give it a tiny little lens
Right.
effect, and then there's some bits on the side. I'm gonna borrow an idea from that Ross painted up your power generators with. He did a really nice sort of power generatory
Right.
glow
Right. Yeah, I saw that
on the curve of the power generator. So I'm
with the
gonna try and
green.
borrow that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it looked
Yeah. No, it
fantastic
did.
as always with Ross's stuff. I'm gonna try and there's a little place on the side of each one of those guns where it's got these sort of little even divisions, and I thought what I might do is try and paint something similar to that on either side, just to bring in a little bit of some other color, just to break
Well,
up that
they
black a
call
little
that
bit. And
now an object source lighting or something like that. Is that the official term
I
now
think
that we
that's
have?
when I think that's when you take a light source and reflect it onto another part of the model. So if I were to paint that green and then put a little green cast on top of the turtle's shell,
Okay.
the green cast on the shell is I think what people call OSL. Thunderhead would know. He's really good with that stuff.
Well,
Yeah, Tiger Rate says
yeah.
yeah.
So, well, I've been working still on my desert terrain, trying to get it ready for the photo shoot, Flashpoint. And that's why I worked on the terrain show last night. And I actually finished that up today, at least the dead skeleton part. So, very pleased with how it turned out. After the show, I'm going to take a picture and put it up on Facebook. But give you a little preview. Got it still.
I'd like to see that.
Of course, it's probably red if you're saying I'm really red.
Well, it's cleared up now. I don't know what it was. Maybe this television of mine is giving up the ghost or
I
something.
don't know. But I'm going to do a nice close up here after the show. But then I put off painting anything else until since James is coming up this weekend for our bro weekend, as mentioned earlier. So try to get some stuff painted and
Hmm.
play some games and kind of hang out.
See if I can't liberate some models that might be hidden behind enemy
I
lines just a
I
little bit.
notice usually when you're up here, you're kind of sneaky, kind of get into a KGB mode kind of a thing. I got to keep
Just a
track
little
of you.
bit.
I need to come up with some kind of a tracker or something. Where's James at? On my phone. I need to track it out. Like, oh,
I'm telling you
there we go.
guys, I I don't know how many of you may have actually been to Talon HQ, but it's like the world's biggest flea market of everything you ever wanted to stumble into. Calves, tanks, that other mecha game, giant like just stuff from if it has the word robot associated with it, it's in there somewhere, and sometimes in 5-gallon buckets. So yeah, I mean, literally, you could just wander around for 3 hours and never see the same thing, and see stuff you've never seen before, and you're like, John, where'd this come from? And then you get this fascinating story about how he met a guy at this convention that had a thing and traded him this other stuff and told him about a guy in Poland. And it's a lot of fun. If you ever get a chance, especially after John opens up his retail store, you should 100% go up there and ask for the 10-cent tour, and then just slip off Black Widow style into the back lanes and see what's to be
I
seen.
think you'll be impressed when you come up here because I've cleaned a bunch of stuff and sorted a bunch of stuff out.
Oh, nice.
I'm getting much better. Threw a dumpster full of stuff away.
Oh, I don't have that dumpster emptied.
Yeah, no,
I want to look at it
this was
first.
truly junk of the junk. So, because
Right.
we got swamped by retailer orders last week, so we have been on like a packaging frenzy. So I don't know if you saw. I put up a couple of posts. When we were doing banshees and what the other one? Oh, the tigers. But I put a
Mhm.
picture up on the page with all just the box full of them ready to go.
Hey, Cthulhu, I see your comment in chat there about bringing a hidden camera. I mean, if John says it's okay, I will just straight up film some of it. I won't show it to OSHA, but uh, there are some parts in there that would be fascinating to show you guys. I mean, literally, the last time I was up there was a 5-gallon bucket of parts. I was like, "Oh, I'd like to have this, and I want some of this." It was like he should just really get a bubblegum machine that takes a quarter and has the little turn thing, and then you could just get cab parts. That would be really sweet.
I actually had to start a second bucket to be
Cool.
pleased
I am excited.
after all the packaging because we end up, we don't catch everything, but as we go along, especially if it's missing a piece or something like that, if it's missing a piece, the rest of it's useless. I mean, as far as to sell, so it goes into the bucket, because there's
from a retail
there's no extra to put in there. So luckily that will change as we switch over to the new process. But right now with them, they come in a bag and we open the bag, and if they mispackaged them and left a piece out or put the wrong piece in, and we catch it, to the bucket it goes.
Chandler made the comment that I stole his mastodons. If only he knew. Sorry, Chandler.
Yeah.
Got to catch up to the dragon somehow.
Don't worry, Chandler. We'll get some mastodon pretty soon. May not look exactly like the old one, but I think you'll like the improvements.
Cool. Tiger Wraith is saying sell bits.
Well, and we talked about that. I plan on doing it, but I need to go through and sort everything into piles so that that everybody will get, because I don't want I don't want somebody to get a packet that ends up being nothing but all left feed or something. So I'm going to kind of come up with some different piles and figure out some different what we can put in there and get rid of them that way, because we've got enough for a lot of packs.
So true story. When I very first got into CAV, I had no idea what I was buying, and I ended up over in Reaper's miniature, like metal bits bins.
Right.
You could take a tour of the factory. At least you used to be able to, and you could buy in bulk just pieces. So I found the CAV section, and I had literally just had my first demo game of CAV like the day before. So I'm just looking and picking and choosing and grabbing just stuff because I had money to spend, and I came home with a giant bag of CAV parts. And then I had to figure out what they were. And I didn't really know anybody back then.
Right.
I barely knew Ross. I didn't know John very well. So I was, the only way I could really figure it out was by the feet. It was the feet that were the most unique identifiers. So I got the old PDFs of the old catalogs that Reaper used to sell with your stuff in them, the pictures of them. And I would literally go through there and try and match the feet. And then once I had the foot, I knew the name of it, and I could try and look for its weapons. It took me a month to sort all that stuff out, but it was fun.
Yeah, no, it was always cool to have all the bins with all the pieces, and that'll be kind of, with going to the new system that we're going to be doing for casting and stuff as those figures come online. We'll kind of be back to that, as we'll have the bins with parts. So, it'll be something that we can, if somebody needs a special request, or I'm working on something and I need to grab an arm or something, and just get it out of the bin.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you said in the new process, cast off material is reusable.
It is. Yep.
So it's kind of like metal. You can just melt it back down and recast out of it.
Yeah, it's a thermoplastic resin. So it's that you're able to grind it up and work it back into what's already been done. So
nice.
So that's where all the sprues will end up going. So
I remember. Actually, I'm not sure I remember that. Mastodon conversions. Tiger Wraith did some Mastodon conversions involving some Dark Age stuff, I believe, from that other game. Maybe those did look pretty nice. I did like those.
Yeah, no, and there's, I like the look of it too. Like I said, we're going to be making some adjustments to the current one, and it's a cool mini, but it has some issues, and it wasn't very detailed. It doesn't have lots of little bits and stuff. I mean, it's a great one if you want to put a big decal on it. I'd be right
Hmm.
down Ross's alley there. Oh, cool! I get to put a big decal on.
Or or you could do like mini painting studio and just shave the model bald to put a
Yeah,
decal on it,
yeah.
which I mean it works, but I'm like, ugh,
Well,
I hate cutting up my
I
models.
just, I just go ahead and put the decal on and get, I forget what they call that stuff that you put on there that just causes it to
Mhm.
fall over.
Form
Yeah,
fit.
go into
Yeah.
all the cracks and fine to me.
Mm.
I like lots of little
Speaking,
fiddly bits.
did you get a chance to talk to Fighting Piranha by any
I
chance?
did not.
Okay.
To be honest, I totally forgot
It's all right.
until you
No
just said
problem.
that. So
I get
I
it.
will holler at him tomorrow. If I can get, if he's got time, if I catch him, if he can print it tomorrow and drop it in the mail, he should be able to get it. We'll see.
That would be cool. If not, no big deal.
Just too many
Mm.
things. Just can't keep my brain all.
I
Yeah.
understand completely.
All right. So, what have you have us a little list of things to go over that you kind of
Yeah,
pulled off
yeah.
the web pages again this week?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I so each week I'm trying to go through the CAV HQ Facebook group, and I take a look at the Discord group, and I just look at things people are posting up, especially hobby from the hobby perspective.
right.
And so the just right before we went on to the stream tonight, Matt Laurelham, my apologies if I butcher your name. He posted a question about basing infantry, which seems like, to be honest with you, it's a pretty common question. He was just looking for some advice on how many pieces of infantry need to go on an individual stand, and heavy versus powered versus light. Like what's the mix?
Well, obviously, you don't want to mix the light and the heavy and the power. They need to be
Right.
their individual stands because they are different in the game. Um,
Hmm.
but as far as what you want to put on a base, that's totally up to you. You can put one figure, you can put three figures, you can put four figures on there. All that's necessary is to have that base. Um, it's up to you if you want to, specialize and actually, put all your rifle guys on one and your tank guy or your, tank busters on one or the SAMs on one, and how you want to set the officers. Generally, what I try to do is like if it's going to be like a rifle squad, I put a couple of the rifle guys on there with one of the officers, and use him as either officer and NCO just to for the look. But um, it's totally up to you how many you want to put on the base. Just all you're trying to do is get to, like a Terran squad is 5 bases. So as long as you've got 5 bases that are infantry, whether it's light, medium, or heavy, that's all you need.
Hmm. Okay. In other words, whatever works for you is really what
Whatever
you
I've
say.
seen him, like I said, I've seen him with one guy, I've seen him with 6 guys. I
Hmm.
mean, I've seen him. People do a bigger round circle and put all kinds of stuff on there and model it out and put. Hell, I've seen them with foxholes and all kinds of stuff done over the years that are cool.
Hmm.
But like I said, it's just a matter of how you want to do it.
All right. So then we had Chris Wolfgang, which honestly I don't know who people are in chat versus people in real life. So if you're here, hats off to you, sir, because you posted up some really spectacular. Or ma'am, I don't honestly know. No judging. You posted up some spectacular looking Templars. Um, he said they were for his force called Disables Eagles. I'm not sure how to pronounce French or if that's even French, but yeah, Disables Eagles, a Centurion and a Gladiator. Blue with orange, the fully decked out bases, with fluff, flock and the whole 9 yards, like photographed beautifully. They were the highlight of my day when I saw them.
I think you weren't
I
the only one. I think the last time I looked, there
yeah,
was like 10 or 12 people that said, "Hey, these are great." And they really are.
yeah.
They look. Really,
I would be ecstatic to look up and see that force across the
yep.
table from me. It'd be a joy to lose to. I guess that's probably what would happen.
Oh, you're so
Although I still
humble.
have
You're
to,
so humble.
it's trust me, I know. Um, that Centurion though, that thing is so many points. I mean, it's like 1,200 and some odd points. But you got to get in close to use it. But if you get there, you're
He
gonna
he
win
is he
probably.
is a beast. He hits hard. He's got good armor, and I mean,
Hmm.
it's like any of the others. I mean, if you get him in a situation where he's got way too many people shooting at him and nobody else to help him, you're going to get him
Hmm.
down. But he's going to take a couple of guys with him.
He's a beast. Once he gets in the range of those PPGs, he will earn some points.
And you can go like I think there's the Mark II or whatever now. It's like an 800 or 900
Hmm.
version.
Yeah, yeah.
You can save some points there, but when you get into the 12 DT guys, there's just no the final formula for coming up with threat value is based on their overall DT. So
Hmm.
if you throw 12 DT guys on there, that's 100% of points. There's no break there, so they add up quick.
I agree. Chris Lewis, a sculptor guy, he posted up that he was working on the Akula over the weekend. I popped into the channel and got a chance to take a look at that for just a few minutes. Saturdays are usually pretty busy for me, but I I enjoyed the look of it. It certainly was more angular than that Scorpion he was working on the week before. Had a lot more missile pods, I
Had
believe, than
certainly
that
more
Scorpion had.
rockets. Definitely had more rockets.
Yeah, rockets.
Yeah.
There we go. And the Akula is an Almirathil fire support vehicle. Pretty small, pretty light, good to buy in numbers and do fun things,
Well,
swarm your
and it's
opponents.
a hover vehicle, and
Mm,
I love hover vehicles. I think they have such a really one of a kind, unique look to them,
mhm,
and I just think they're really cool. I like hover vehicles, but it's got 4 Rocket 5s on it, so I mean
mhm.
you can sit back and salvo with a +3. May not do a whole lot of damage, but you can certainly nickel and dime somebody.
See, to me, that's where I think there's a lot of opportunity in CAV to play forces that aren't just always the biggest, heaviest 12 DT, 10 armor brutes with reinforced two. I mean, that Akula would play really well against another sort of light, medium, heavy recon style, fast moving force. It would shine in that particular role. And I personally would love to play those kinds of games where you're not just bringing in the centurions of the world. You're building a recon force, somebody whose job is to get in, get out, and not leave very many footprints.
Well, and and that's one of the ways you can certainly when you're playing points or squads or whatever, and you want to spread it out a little bit. It's like when we were playing during Capcom. I
Hmm.
brought all those sabers with those Macs. You
Hmm.
can take a squad full of sabers out there and be punching some major holes in big guys. Just out of
Those,
sheer numbers. So
somebody's going to roll an
yeah,
11 at some
yeah.
point in time.
Well, I
Yeah.
think he's got the medium or the heavy Mac, so he was what
Hmm.
critting on 9 or 10. Yeah,
Yeah, that's when I learned
yeah,
how crits really work.
yeah.
I was always under the impression that crit was like a damage sort of thing, but it turns out it's really on the to hit side, and
It's on the
so
hit
that's
on the to hit
yeah,
number.
right.
So
Chandler made a question mark comment about the Scorpion. Just real quickly, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole stream, but a couple streams ago, Chris was sculpting what looked like a fantasy Scorpion one Saturday. Don't know what that was all about. When I first saw the header that he was sculpting a Scorpion, I popped in and then I popped back out because it wasn't a mech.
well, and
So
we
that
are gonna re-release the Scorpion stuff. It's gonna be a new version. They're gonna
mhm,
be 4-legged. They're not gonna be 6-legged. So,
okay.
but I think that it'll pay some homage to the original one and be unique in of itself too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
any
excited
of
for
the
that.
quads or not, they weren't quad, whatever the 6 or 4-legged or whatever they were.
Right.
We will do a new version down the road. That's one of the great things about going to this new casting process is there's nothing once we get all that set up and we're good to go. There's nothing that we can't do that's off the board
Mhm.
anymore. We're going to be looking for things that we want to. We're going to get a good release schedule, and we've got lots of things to come out. And we can do something now that we don't need to have 3,000 of them to sell. That we can, on something that may not be as popular or necessary for somebody, we can do
Right.
300 or 400 of them, still make it worth doing.
See, this is just me fantasizing. I'm not speaking for John in any way, shape, or form, but I have this crazy idea where John's like, "Hey, in October, we're releasing a scenario based around this whole story, and oh, by the way, on the way up to October, we're going to release some models that are part of this story, and just tie everything together." That would, oh my
Well,
gosh, that would just make my
that's
day.
where a lot of the medals that we've released came from. That's all good. They're all actually featured in the Flashpoint. Once I get it done. So, we went ahead and started releasing minis because everybody wants the minis. We've been showing them. We know you need to do something. But all those, the Fire Drake and all those are all featured in that. So, yeah, lots of narrative scenarios. That's my dream, is to get to that where we have more time just to work on scenario stuff. So, but one of the things, I've got all those engineering vehicles. That would be great. There's no way we could ever have done them in plastic. But now, we'll be able to come out with those, and, for certain scenarios or just for cool stuff. And they'll be a lot of fun, a lot of stuff like that.
I'm certainly excited for it. Last but not least, before we talk about scenarios a little bit more, Ross posted up over on Discord. That's Ross Hines, Savage Coyote, for those of you that may not know. Sorry for doxing you. Posted some pictures of his power generator, some terrain that he's been painting up from Kickstarter 3. They look fantastic. Is that green sort of power glow in the center of that semicircle where they're sticking out of the ground. Ross is fantastic. Him and Todd are just awesome. Speaking of scenarios, while I was waiting for the stream to get ready today after dinner, I sat down. I was downstairs, sort of trying to organize my notes for the solo scenario for the Rock AI model that I've been working on, and I'm going to try. I'm not. It's just taken me forever to get around to play testing it. So what I thought I would do is I would just throw together my ideas and put out like an alpha version of the solo scenario here, probably early next week, and just let people talk about it. I mean, even if we don't really have time to play test it, we can talk about it, and people can give me some feedback, hopefully, and we can get it tweaked and hopefully make it something that somebody could actually enjoy.
Well, that's actually on my list for this weekend while you're up here, is for us to kind of talk about some scenario things. Got some good ideas behind it, and, to push things more into that, something that's, because I'm like you, I get very tired of just kill or be killed scenarios, but lots of times you got to be careful how you write the scenario, or they end up being that way anyway. But anything in there, but if the guy decides that's what he wants to do, that's what. Thunderhead, I was a little disappointed the weekend before when I popped in and saw the Scorpion as well. I think we're back on track to see CAV stuff going forward. We hope. So I've actually got a Kodiak on the printer right now. So hopefully we'll have those to show this weekend. Right now
I can hear it in the background.
Yes, it is. It's down to its last hour, and when it gets to that last hour, it goes really fast. So everybody's got their different way to do it. He's just Chris is just phenomenal when he gets to going. He's quick. I remember way back when we were working on another game that I released called Cry Havoc. We were just starting to get into 3D design at that time. We had done the original Dictator that we did down at Reaper, and Chris was a 2D artist and had done art for first CAV rule book, and he's done BattleTech art and all kinds of different things. Originally did comic books, so one day I approached him. I said, "Hey, this is where we need to had this is the direction we need to go, and he had absolutely no idea, hadn't done anything, hadn't worked on any of that, and the rest is history.
He's quite good at it nowadays. You know, I mean, I got to know him just a little bit, and I mean, I loved his calf sculpts, and that made him like one of my favorite sculptors. And then I mean, the stuff he can do in fantasy. Not that this is a fantasy show, and I hate to admit it, but I also like fantasy miniatures. He's just so good at all of that
Right.
stuff. I mean, he did that giant pirate ship, and he does some of my favorite mechs. Hats off to you, Chris.
Yeah, well, we started out with Rhino, which does not, at the time, did not lend itself well to organic things, you know, and
Hmm.
that had a lot of the original CAV minis. That's the reason why they're much more boxier and everything like that. Just because of the limitations of the software we were using at the time. After he switched over to ZBrush, um, that's what he does everything. It's the
Yeah.
ability to do the organics stuff. It's great stuff. I've seen a lot of stuff that hasn't been released yet. Excuse me. This weather is playing hell on my sinuses. So, but yeah, he's got lots of more stuff coming. So he's been working on some terrain things. He's working on doing 2 or 3 other things. It's pretty good. Good stuff. I will give him his due. He is very talented artist. I just saw Gimli come in. Gimli, we were talking
Yep.
about your Templar models that you put up earlier, the Centurion and the Gladiator. They were very nice, very good. I want to move them over onto or make a copy of them and put them over on the main page to show off. I just didn't get a chance to get you up on the big board. If you make it there, you know that I think they're a-okay. Primo. That's all right. That's the great thing about the internet. Unlimited.
Hmm.
There we can get anything you do. I like because that's the kind of stuff that motivates. You know, when you see stuff. I mean, me. That's when if I haven't painted anything for a while and somebody puts up something really cool or a paint idea or something like that or terrain, that's when my blood. That's when I'm ready.
Yeah, yeah, Ross and Todd and Thunderhead. I when I get a chance to watch his channel, it's motivating. It's very motivating. I I wish we were more of a geographically connected community. It would be fun to just sit down in the same room and paint with a bunch of guys, Tiger and just all the peoples. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we are in BFE. We are not a high game. I mean, there's a lot of gamers out there, but we're just so spread
Yeah,
out. I mean,
density's low.
yeah. I love talking to people from the East, and they're like, you tell them, oh, yeah, we went somewhere and we drove like 6 hours, 7 hours, to get there or whatever. You drove 6 hours? Well, yeah, that's pretty common. Anything you want to get anywhere out here, it's 4, 5, 6 hours. Oh my gosh, I can get anywhere within 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Or I don't even have a car. I get on a train, or something. So, but yeah, I mean, there's pretty much anything you're going to do around here is 3 or 4 hour minimum. So
yeah,
always
yeah.
a trip.
As a as a young man, I went to college in upstate New York, and the number of people that didn't own cars, I was just like, how do you get anywhere? I mean, I grew up in Oklahoma, and like things are spread out even more back then. And I was like, Jiminy Christmas, we owned like 4 cars, and there's only 3 drivers in the house. So how does this
Right.
work?
You know, and it's funny. My first roommate in college was from Connecticut, and of course, this was at Oklahoma State. And one of the first things he wondered were where the horses were, because he absolutely was convinced that we still rode horses
Yeah,
everywhere. And
yeah.
I said, well, there's lots of horses. But I said, I think as far as our general getting around these days, horses are more for fun. But I mean, he absolutely believed we still rode horses. At the time, he thought everybody carried guns on their hips too. He's say in the last 30 years now they do, but but back then, yeah.
Unfortunately.
You know, and I forget what brought him to Oklahoma State. There was some reason that he was there, but I don't remember. Um, but the funny thing about it was intramural sports. Uh, one of the sports was hockey, and we had a guy from Connecticut, and of course I lived in the dorms that year, so this was all on that part. We had like a guy from Wisconsin and a guy from Connecticut and a guy from Maryland, and you know they'd grown up playing hockey like we do basketball and everything around here. And needless to say, we won the hockey championship that year.
I
So
guess
yeah,
so.
yeah, I knew we were good when they come in there with their sticks and they're picking the pucks up with the end and bouncing them like a hacky sack. I said, I believe we're good to go. So anyway,
Yeah.
questions? Anybody have any questions that they would like us to answer tonight while we're just chatting away? I had really tried to have us a topic, and it just didn't work. I did get on topic with the train, so I was 50% from last night.
Mm.
But we will have. That's one of our goals while you're here, James. Is we need 3 or 4
Hmm.
topics for the next month.
All right.
That way, if
I
we
can
can
figure something
get
out.
some ahead, that way we can plan it and maybe do a little bit.
I mean, Christmas is coming up. I guess we could talk about holidays in the CAV universe and how they relate to the Navy. Let's talk about ships. I'm just teasing.
I
Just teasing.
Chandler, I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. I think uh, everybody's still kind of in a holding pattern, because generally by this time this year we've already done all of our bookings for February, March, April next year, convention
Mhm.
wise, and we haven't even got a email from anybody asking us if we're coming or not. So
Mm.
I think that that's going to just carry over, and we will definitely do a CavCon, but I don't know how it's going to straighten out yet. I do. I think we have pretty much decided we are going to do something online in March.
Mhm.
Um, so we're going to. I need to start getting on the ball with that because I want to get some other people involved and some more events and stuff, and do a little more planning
Mhm.
than 2 weeks before. Um, and then we'll just have to see where the physical one falls.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe we could reach out to some of the other streamers that are, CAV friendly, and, talk about getting them to come on and, do some content so it's not, just only us.
Right. Yeah. No, I want to get some painters on there. I want to get, I want us to have a much more structured event. Get some things where we've got a little more room where we can spread out a little. So it'll work out good.
Mm.
As far as ReaperCon though, I don't know. I know that they are really getting back and being orientated as far as being more miniatures and painting orientated. Of course, that might all change
Mhm.
again for next year, but um, I think that really, their online show was very successful. So that's probably going to have a lot to do. the way that they look at things going. Right, NashCon is August, first weekend of August, but again, it may or may not be. So, depending on how things go. I mean, my hope is, that because it's basically going to come down to this: they're either going to have a vaccine that's successful, or everybody's just going to have to. It is what it is, and we'll just have to move. I mean, I don't know what else we can do any different. Especially because I think I saw an article today that they're checking that they've got people that had it 90 days ago that are possibly coming back positive. You get into that point where you're not getting any immunity, and it's just going to be what it's going to be. Here's a little flu fact for you. Did you know that the Spanish flu in 1918 originated in Kansas? Where it all got started. We were the Typhoid Marys of 1918.
How interesting.
Another little Kansas fact. That and Superman are the two things that we got.
Amber waves of grain.
Yeah, because back then, that's the infantry was based all out here in Kansas, and they all were coming back, and they were back with.
Lovely.
Yeah. So we've got all that. Of course, when we need to do the obligatory next week it's time to vote. If you haven't voted, get out and vote. You've been hammered on everything else. Every time I turn around, somebody, you got to vote. So we got to do it too. Get out and vote. It does matter.
I know where my place is, and I'm scheduled. I know when I'm going to be there, and I told my boss today I don't know how long it's going to take to vote, but I'm not going to be in until I'm finished.
Well, I know when we did the primaries here, we have a church that is where we vote at, and they did a really good job keeping everybody spread out, everything moving. And so I feel comfortable to go back and cast my vote live.
Yeah,
so
that's what we're going to do. Our polling place is a Catholic church in the neighborhood, and they're really good at organizing it.
Yeah, and this is the first time that both my boys are eligible to vote for president. So they are going to get out and vote.
That's good for them. It's important.
I think they're just going to cancel out my vote, but it is what it is.
Dana Murphy for emperor.
Empress.
Okay, yes. She identifies as empress. Cool. So we talked a little bit about that last time we were on, didn't we? Did we talk a little bit about famous pilots?
We did. About some of the deals and how we're gearing those up for the JOR and we need to.
Going to be examples of them.
Yeah, well, and when I brought up, I need to remind myself that too. Is we need to have some little competitions for people to get their characters. They would like to get the pilot in the game or something. That's a very simple thing to do. Yeah.
I think at the very least you should have to paint up your CAV.
Well, yeah, we need to do some kind of competition. I still have the idea for doing the writing anthology together and get some people to be able to do some things there. Put that out as a PDF that people can download. Lots of little things that we.
I'm looking forward to it. I don't do a lot of writing, but I'm going to make up a story about the little rock AI and how it escaped the planet and lives in the net and terrorizes people.
Well, 500 words even. That's basically one page of in a Word doc or something like that. So it's easy it doesn't take very long to put a quick story together. Not nearly as big and exotic as you think it is. So
We briefly mentioned this last week, but I didn't think to follow up on it. Over on the Discord channel, if anybody wants to come over there and talk about us doing sort of a fan run wiki or some sort of place to gather information where we could document everybody's units, I think that would be really cool. We talked earlier about the disables Templar unit
Yep.
on the. Let me pull my notes down here, make sure I get the name right. Disables Eagles,
Yes,
the
that was the
the Templar squad from Chris Wolf
yep
game.
from Ghibli.
Yeah, I guess that's who he is. I'm not 100% sure.
Either that or
I'd love to meet him
he's
though.
saying thank you for somebody else's work.
Hey, why not? Why not? Um, I mean, honestly, I would like to sort of, just collect those, little sentence, a paragraph, a page of whatever people want to put down, and then we could start to draw connections and go, hey, this mercenary unit fought this Templar disables Eagle squad on planet XYZ over here, and it would help us create a little bit of I don't know, continuity in the background. I mean, even if it never becomes official, I would love to read it just to see how people talk about their units, and how why they're successful or why they failed, and how are they coming back, and what's their who's their nemesis, and why did they work for the Rock, and how did they survive it, and stuff like that.
Well,
I, I would enjoy
and
that
one
kind
of
of
the
thing.
things that I keep trying to push is we do stuff, we put stuff out there, but you know people ask all the time, what can I do to help support the game? What can I do? What to do this? We need fan driven content. I mean, that is the stuff
Mhm.
that we need, that we have not. We get a lot of people talking, they this and they think this and they want to do this, or they email me and want to do that, but we don't get a lot of follow through. And I mean, you can look at the other games that are at the top of their pile out there right now, and it's a lot of that stuff comes from fan driven content. You want to put
Mhm.
your own Twitch stream together. If you want to do YouTube videos, you want to do anything, we will do whatever we can to support you and supply stuff that we need to, and do whatever we need to do. But you know, we can't grab you by the put a ring in your nose and drag you along. So if you want to do something to help out and help us build the game, and I mean, we've pretty much screwed 2020 off, but that kind of goes for everything. But you know, we've got a lot of stuff planned for next year. Lots of new minis, new books, all kinds of stuff. So here's the chance for you to get geared up and be ready to help out.
Mhm. I I I'm I'm excited. I'm gonna see what I can puzzle out about a wiki. Maybe I can build up a little groundswell over on Discord, or maybe on Facebook, and get people to come in, and if nothing else, I can just document the things that I see people say. I mean, I don't know anything about disables Eagles, but I can make an entry for them, and
Right.
um, at least describe their unit color.
Well, and I mean, today even I got a notice there was somebody on the YouTube page that was trying to find the Discord server. So
Mm,
so I got them pointed in the right direction. So um, I need to do. My intention had been I want to get some time during the week on a regular basis to be on the Discord server as well. Um,
mhm,
this never has worked out exactly, but if you guys, if we can figure out a time to be on there or something too, we can do that. So
mhm.
lots of stuff, lots of plans, lots of deals. It's just, like I said, is going from one project to the next to the next. And I know everybody's heard us talk about
Mhm.
a lot of things that are, and 2021 is going to be a really really good CAV here. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
I feel like maybe there ought to be a place where we could have sort of like a posted FAQs release schedule, or maybe even without dates, but like, hey, the next thing that's coming out is, let's say, the JOR,
Right.
and then after that is a Flashpoint, and then after that is new model processing, just so that people, like me, I've heard you say all these things a dozen times, but in my head they get confused, and I don't know
Right.
which one is priority and what's the next one coming up, and and then you'll say something, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, famous pilots are going to be in the JOR."
Well, we can do that. I mean, I've done that, and it always ends up burning me in the butt because I don't make what
Yeah.
I want to do. But I mean, first up is the flashpoint. I mean, that's where we're getting
Okay.
to the point where I've got to do. We're trying to do the final photography.
Hmm.
We're getting it all finished up and stuff like that. So, and you'll see some previews for some stuff, kind of the style that'll be in the JOR, as far as with some of the stuff that's been released, like the um, the Horus and the Fire Drake and stuff like that. You'll start kind of giving you an idea of what you'll be seeing in the JOR because those will actually be in the flashpoint. But we're getting there, ever so close. Da, da, da.
Did you tell people what you're printing on the machine? I can't recall.
I did, yeah. Well, it's a Kodiak.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Right.
got a Kodiak on there right now. This is kind of I do kind of a quickie um, scale wise, so that I can look at it
Hmm.
against uh, other models that are out there, so I can make sure that they're kind. Because here's how we scale a mini: is the first thing that we do is we actually have a little file of a 10 millimeter pilot. Okay, here's the pilot sitting down, scaled to go. And so we set him down and he goes into the model first. So no matter what, the model is scaled at least to that pilot. Now, then from that point, it only goes up if to make him match into something else. So um, DT we've talked about before. DT is not always a matter of size. You could theoretically have a 12 DT CAV, and it'd be the smallest CAV out there. DT is kind of takes into account bulk and size and everything too, but it's also DT is just a matter of survivability. You
Hmm.
can be a small guy and be um, have a very high survivability for whatever reason in the game. The example I always use is the A10 and a 747. You know, basically an A10 in CAV would be like a 5 or 6 DT aircraft. 747 in CAV is probably like a 1, maybe a 2 DT model.
Hmm.
So, I mean, you can see the difference between the size, but, 747 is basically a pretty easy thing to take out. Let's see, we got a whole paragraph here. Yeah, but
Gimli's talking about the history. Yeah.
could you have a 12 DT infantry? No, no. Infantry max out at 3 DT. So they're
Yeah.
kind of they are what they are. A person is a person. That where you see the difference there is obviously with their armor values. When everything is equal, that's where you're going to see the changes. But see, that's stuff like that, Gimli, that we're looking for. If you start you a post and put up a little fact on it once a week or something, like start fleshing out your unit. Later
Hmm.
on, if a wiki or you want to do more with it or something like that, you've got the bare bones of there and to go even further.
Back when Ross and I used to do the Big Snompy podcast, we talked about CAV mostly. And in there, I did a lot of talking about a unit that I made up, the Royal Blues, which is a Templar
Right?
unit, and I had a ton of background for those guys. I need to dig that back out and and make sure I include that on the whatever space we end up using to store this
We need to
information.
see if we can get Ross on here now.
He was chatting with me right beforehand, but I think he goes to bed like silly early. He's probably
Well,
asleep right now.
he can plan ahead, so we can get him in. We can get him in here in voice. Like I said, I can
Yeah,
put
that would be
his
great.
picture up or something. I can get him in here on voice. His streaming ability from where he lives is, but, uh,
Yeah.
but we are set up to be able to take phone calls. So he can call in and we can put him in the stream.
I him or just anybody.
I've tried to
I think
get
it's a good idea.
I wanted to get Todd on here and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
He's not totally set up to do it yet,
Okay.
so we're kind of working on that. You know, I've tried to think of some guests that I would like to get on here. Um, Ed from Reaper, talk about some of the early days of CAV and stuff would be fun. Um,
That would be fun.
David out at Trenchworks, you know,
Hmm.
that casts up some stuff. So maybe James Wapple, I could get him on here one night.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah,
would be really cool. He's a
yeah.
talker.
So you know, we can get some people on here, kind of flesh it out, and you know, and if there's a topic that you want to see us cover, you know, put a post up on the Facebook, send us an email, talk on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. You know, give us some ideas,
Mhm.
some things that you want to listen to, because there's a lot of things we can talk about that I think would be, I think is really cool, but might put you to sleep. But I might be wrong. You might think it's the greatest thing ever. So
I I don't know what it takes to get Wobble's painting time anymore because from his Twitch channel, he seems like he paints 20 hours a day.
right.
But I would love to see him paint some calves.
Well, you know, he's done. If you actually go to his website, he's got a couple of shows where he did a Despot tank and Imperator.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
from I mean I think they're 2018ish,
Hmm.
but yeah, no, he's done a couple of shows. James is a big cab guy. James loves cab. So
He likes, yeah, he's into historicals and bolt action and just much more than I know him from seeing him paint so much fantasy
right.
stuff. But you're right, he's definitely got a flavor for the hard edge sci-fi kind of stuff
Well,
too.
we always meet up at Adepticon, and he's always
Hmm.
in the booth grabbing Cav stuff. He loves Cav, so I don't know how much he plays, but certainly paints it up and talks about it and does stuff. And you know,
Cool.
he's got a one of the big dictator models that he's working on
Hmm.
that he's supposed to finish up at some point. Where I guess he's got it rising up out of the water or something.
Hmm.
But you know, and he painted up the dropship broadsword.
The
Yeah,
broadsword. Yep.
he did that at ReaperCon one. So, but yeah, just give us stuff to talk about. It's like I was talking to James. One of the things that came up today is where I was working on some of the background for some of the stuff today, and one of the things that came up, it's just little stuff, but you know, it kind of makes them unique. Is the A to E's and by default the Amethyl, they're on a base 12 mathematical system instead of a base 10. That makes a
Hmm.
big difference in the way that they look at things and set things up and um, kind of fleshing out how they, um, you know, I don't know if did you see that I put up the last week the PDF of the Legion, the Terran Legion.
I did. I tried to open that on my phone, and my phone
Your
said,
phone,
"Go to
yeah,
hell."
whatever. Even if it would open, I couldn't even imagine trying to look at it on there. But anyway, that's
Yeah,
something I did last year, and I put it up before, but I wanted to put it up there again. But you know, my plan is to have one of those for all of them, so that, and that's one of the things that was coming up with one of the fans that got a hold of me here. We've kind of talked about it the last couple of days about how they're set up as far as the way that their battalions and the armies and everything. Because the Amethyl have basically 12 Army Guard units, which are their core
Mhm.
army. Each army is assigned to one of the 12 sections, the protectorates or whatever in Amethyl. So it's just stuff like that's coming up that you'll see more of it talked about in the JOR and stuff like that. You know, like I said, I think it's cool. You might think it's boring as hell and put you to sleep, but it gets me excited. I like the little nitty gritty stuff.
Yeah, I like it too. Especially when it has some impact on the story or gets drawn into the history or the background in some clever way. I think it's good.
As far as the big Starhawk 6, it's actually going to be the big Starhawk 7. Decided we're just going to go ahead and do a 7. I think I put that up, preview of that last week, actually, on go back and look at the show. And that when we did it.
So yes, yes. Do you think we'll see the big resin model? Will we be able to purchase that in 2021?
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, just asking you to speculate. Do you think those big resin models are once a year?
I'd like
We get a
to.
new one
I would like, yeah,
once
I
each
would
year?
like to get one up this year.
That would be great. I went I went through and I've got some of those IKEA, what do they call those, Detloff shelves, the glass cases that are kind of square.
Yes.
I went through and bought and had some extra shelves cut, and I put some extra shelves in so they're better for calves and whatnot.
Right.
And I've got all my painted calves downstairs, and I've got an empty tall space. I need to do that big dictator. I think I'm gonna maybe over the Christmas holiday. I'm gonna try and start on that guy.
I've got several of those here. The first thing you want to do though is build a base, hang up off the ground. Drive you
Hmm.
crazy with just they're just too short. I
Hmm.
put mine up. I built plywood boxes
Hmm.
with a indent in them so that they just sat down in there. And
Hmm.
probably a foot, maybe 15 inches off the floor. Makes a world.
Yeah, Gimli. That. So I have painted some other large models. I don't know if you're familiar with War Machine and Hordes, but I painted some of their big gargantuans with a brush, and then painted the exact same one again with an airbrush. And I can tell you, the airbrush is a godsend.
And especially because I'll go on again, I've been using these min wax wood stains. I
Hmm.
love them. Shooting them through an airbrush is like a hot knife through butter. They're so thin, but they're such a concentrated pigment that you can spray them direct out there and get a really good dark shade out of them. Add a little bit of water because they're water based and them out.
Hmm.
Whatever you use to airbrush to thin out an acrylic. Um, love them. Absolutely love them. I was airbrushing with just amazed. And it was so easy to clean up. It was because it's so
I'm
thin,
looking forward.
shoot it and right out.
I'm looking forward to tinkering with it through an airbrush this weekend. You have some of the new Reaper airbrushes, the
I
Vex, right?
do.
Are, are we going to get a chance to try those out this
We
weekend?
will go crazy as long as we can get a Badger hose that works.
Yeah, I mean, my Harbor Freight hoses are perfect. I'll bring up some Harbor Freight
Well,
hoses.
and so do you have a are you using some kind of a do you screw something on there so that it fits on the airbrush, or does the hose come already where it'll fit?
I have a quick connect attached to the end of it,
No,
so it's just like a regular like your shop floor air compressor would have. It's just a tiny miniature version of a quick connect, and I've got a spade on the other end that fits into it, just exactly like for your tire compressor, except tinier.
I don't. I like I said, I've got some aftermarket hoses, and hopefully I'll figure that out tomorrow. I
Yeah.
just can't make myself pay $70 for an air hose.
Yeah, Harbor Freight, eight
Yeah,
bucks.
well, it's like I said, the ones I
It's
got through
7 feet
Amazon,
long.
yeah, were $8, $10, whatever. But for whatever
Yeah,
reason, I can't get them to Badgers. I know it has
I'll bring
something to do
mine.
with the little nozzles. I'll get.
We'll get it
Yeah.
sorted out. So just real quick, it's a little bit after
Yep.
9 o'clock here, but Badger is a company that you're friendly with, right?
Yes.
I I just wanted to mention to Gimli, um, I saw that earlier this week the Ken Schoenfield or Failed, whatever his name is, the owner of Badger. He mentioned that they're going to have a big sale. Uh, Essentially, what he would normally do at a con online coming up. I don't know any details. He just barely kind of mentioned it, but that's a great way to buy an airbrush. If you're looking to get into an airbrush, you won't get any better price than that on an
Well,
airbrush.
this
So
is about the time that he does his birthday sale. That may be what's getting
yeah,
ready to come up. I know that last year or 2 years ago, maybe it was last year, I got in on it.
Mhm.
I got 4 Badger airbrushes for $100.
Yeah, that's $50 an
Yep.
airbrush, and those are I painted with one of them when I was up there during CAVCon, and I own 2 of the 5 airbrushes I own are Badger airbrushes, and they're fantastic. I highly recommend them. Um, so yeah, if you've got the money, or your Christmas is coming up, you could tell somebody this is what I want for Christmas. That would be a perfect thing to
I
get,
even got a
and a
special
quick, easy way to
gold
get in.
one that James tried to sneak out on.
I offered to buy it from you.
Whatever. To tackle
All
him
right,
as
I
he
will
went out
sneak out with
the.
it
He was
now.
going out the door with it. So the little
Um,
sensors were going off. Ding, 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 ding. Okay.
I'll just steal a piece of it every time I
All
come
right.
by.
So we're going to wrap things up since we're running a little over tonight.
Yep.
Quick couple of minutes. Anybody got a question that they just have to have answered tonight before we get off here? If not, we're gonna cut her loose and go our merry ways. I am gonna put up my. I'm gonna go take a picture of my skeleton scatter terrain. Put up on the Facebook page before I go home. That's how proud of it I am. Ready to see it
I'm looking
tonight.
forward to
I
seeing it.
think it turned out really good. It's got a couple places for calves to stand up on them and be fun.
I encourage you to put a CAV in there for scale,
I am.
so that
I'm
we can
going
kind
to.
of
I've got one.
have a sense
I've
of it.
got. I picked out a nice red one, so it'd be offset from the desert look. So, all
Perfect.
right, guys. Well, we had fun too. It was a good show. We talked about a lot of different things. We will try to get more on a topic next. So
Hmm.
James will be up here this weekend. Who knows? We may throw the camera on and goof off too.
That sounds like fun.
Mini
I'm
CavCon,
willing.
mini CavCon. So, all right, well, guys, have a good night. Thanks for showing up, and we will. Chris will be back on Saturday at 2 o'clock Central Time, working on a Cav Mini, probably the Acula, trying to finish that up. If not, we may be on at some point this weekend just because we want to be. If not, I will be back on Tuesday night, and then me and James will be back next Wednesday night. We will see you then, guys. Have a good night.
Take care, all.
All right, we're off.
All right. I hope it wasn't the wrong thing to do to mention that Badger sale. I
Oh,
just,
no, no,
you know,
not at all.
okay. Seemed like the sort of thing we would talk about, you and I,
Yeah.
and so that's my gauge as to whether or not something is probably okay.
Yeah. No, I don't mind. Nobody's dicked me.
Good.
At a show, I could go over there and get whatever I want at cost, but said he did that birthday sale and I could get all 4
Hmm.
brushes for what one cost. Too good of a deal to pass.
No, that's fantastic. I I uh I really should have bought that gold airbrush. I looked at it and I was like, man, I've already got this airbrush in black, and I'm just gonna get paint all over it. Oh well. I don't even today I don't really need it, but when I saw yours, I was like, oh, this thing looks better than I thought it did. No
If
problem.
you bring yours up here, I'll trade you.
No, I'm not. I don't need it that bad. I just was jealous because I
I
saw
did
it.
put the new needle and tip in my Iwata.
Yeah, good. Oh, is that the one that you lost the bit for?
No, that was the one of the Badger ones. No, the Iwata one
Okay.
was that you used and you thought that the end of the needle had a little bit or something.
Hmm.
I ordered it. I got the little in for it too.
Okay.
But I
Good.
changed those out today, and like I said, I loved airbrushing with that thing today.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to giving that a shot and seeing
Yeah,
how
because
that
like I
works
said,
out.
I've got 2 or 3 shades. I've got a light, a medium, and a dark brown. I've got some kind of a gray, to use. Got a
Hmm.
black. Got kind of a red, very ruddy color, I guess. Didn't
Hmm.
want to go red hot because they don't really red.
Yeah.
I think they call it like terracotta. So kind of that brick, brick color.
Didn't for a little while one of the actual paint companies, like Army Paint or somebody, make an actual dip that was essentially
They
stained?
do. They make a dip, and I think we were talking about that because I had this. I mean, truthfully, this came a couple of weeks ago, last week or whatever. I'm sitting around. Um, I had got some stain in for something else that my wife was working, and I got to look. I'm like,
Hmm.
this is a water-based stain, and I'm like,
Hmm.
what? Why can't you use this for like a wash, or something like that? So I started playing with it a little bit, and so I ran out and got some others, and then I was talking to Todd and them. Oh yeah, so and so showed him YouTube or something. Hugh goes, yeah, I think that's basically what Army Painter is, and
Hmm.
I think they thin it down more with some kind of, like I said, this with it, it's concentrated in, but
Hmm.
they mix it up right there. You can get, God, there must have been 200 colors you could, and
Mm, wow.
it's a clear base that they mix it in already. You're not fighting with, you know like because a lot of the paints get mixed to a white base, so
Hmm.
this is already clear, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it, but I always
Hmm.
spray everything with dull coat anyway, so
Yeah.
it goes away.
So here's a crazy idea. What if you bought just the the uncolored media and brought it home and mixed it with regular bright paint
I
colors?
don't know. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know if that is directed towards their pigments or if you're going to get enough out of a paint to do that. But
Hmm,
no, they're only eight.
might be
They're
worth an
$8 a
experiment.
quart.
Yeah. Just give me a quart with no stain in it. Thank you.
Well, they've got that up on the shelf. I went up here to Sutherland's.
Hmm.
Some of them here, because they didn't mix. They only out of the whole catalog, they only had about 40 or 50. Um, but
Hmm.
you just can. I mean, the bases they're on the shelf. We can get one and
Hmm.
try it out.
Might you never know, you might discover
Well, the
something.
reason I started thinking, what got me thinking, because I'd seen something. What's his name? Oh, Luke. That's the guy
Hmm.
out of England or whatever. He makes
Hmm.
all his washes, and I'd heard, I full time models. They used Pledge floor wax as their base, and that's what he uses. And to me, that after I saw that and got to thinking, I'm like, bin wax, basically floor wax, kind of. We'll play with it.
Okay.
All right, well, sir, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna go do a couple of things and go home.
All right, man. So just to summarize, because I'm not sure I'll talk to you again before I come up there on Friday. I'm going to bring a hose, so we can connect airbrush. I'll bring a couple of them. I've got a couple of identical ones.
Okay,
Is there anything else I need to bring?
just something if you want something unique that that you need. Other than that, I'm pretty much
I'm
got bases covered.
I'm just going to bring those inks in case we do paint a Kodiak. I'm going to try and paint him in the same scheme that I used at CavCon,
Okay,
because I mean he is out Almirathil, right?
right.
Okay, yeah. So I should paint him up in the same scheme. Um, I might bring my turtle dude just to show him to you in person.
Sounds like
That's pretty much it.
sounds like a deal. Like I said, yeah. Other than hoses, just so that we got enough. Because, like I said, worst case, I'll use my Iwata. That way, it
Okay.
goes, um, and we'll have
All
plenty of
right.
room. We'll
I'll
be able to start because the stuff is actually picked up.
nice. I should be up there 11ish, 12ish, basically in time for lunch.
Okay,
Maybe we can go to my favorite barbecue place. Maybe.
okay. We'll make it a date.
All right,
All
man.
right.
You take
All right.
care.
If I don't talk to you, I'll see you Friday.